Okay, so here comes an almost 3-hour film, but it's part one, but it's wicked.
So, long gestating big screen adaptation of the hit stage musical by Stephen Schwartz and Winnie Holzman. Stage play was based on a novel by Gregory Maguire. And Dave Norris sent me this thing because Dave he was at the premiere, they did at the festival hall. And Mark Platt pointed out, of course, that originally they had, when the novel was optioned, they originally had wanted to do it as a film. And then Stephen Schwartz said, actually, you should do this as a stage musical first, and I know how to do it. And then, of course, it became a stage musical. I haven't seen the stage musical because I'm not a big musical theatre goer. I don't like it. I just don't go very much. So it's told from the perspective of two witches, Elphaba, who will become the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda, who will become Glinda, before and after, Dorothy and Oz. So the film is 2 hours 40, and it's only the first half of the show. And apparently it takes us up to the interval. And second part comes out this time next year, directed by John M. Chu, director who'd made Crazy Rich Asians, stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande as the two central characters. Supporting cast is Jonathan Bailey as this kind of a human embodiment, basically, of a Disney prince. Literally looks like a cartoon character made flesh, the way he plays this. Peter Dinklage is the voice of Dr. Dillamond, who is a wise and noble goat on whom society turns. Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard of Oz, a role he was clearly born to play. The original cast members, Idina Menzel, or do you remember when John Travolta introduced her on stage at the Oscars, and he said, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. Just completely got completely wrong. And Kristen Chenoweth, who they were in the stage show, they make a cameo appearance in one sequence in the Emerald City. So it starts with the declaration of the Wicked Witch's death, and much jovial rejoicing about the fact that the dead die alone. And Glinda is the sort of beaming, smiling, Barbie-like master of ceremonies. And it climaxes in this sort of Wicker Man-style burning, kill the witch. Everyone, oh, it's great. And then somebody shouts out, hang about a minute, weren't you her friend? And Glinda says, well, I knew her. And then it flashes back to the backstory, the beginning of the story of how she was born green to the horror of her parents, raised as an outsider, bullied but talented misfit, goes to a Hogwarts-like Shiz University where she meets the blonde and pink mean girl Glinda, who initially bullies and humiliates her. So very kind of, Heather's or Clueless, but who has a champion in the form of Michelle Yeoh's headmistress, who thinks she has great conjuring powers, unlike Glinda. So they're chalk and cheese. Gradually, they become friends. Glinda offers to give Elphaba a makeover, but she's finding her own powers that will take her to the Emerald City and to meet the great and powerful Wizard of Oz, played, as I said, by Jeff Goldblum. So part one ends with, if you know the stage show, and again, I'll stress this again, I don't, ends with Defying Gravity, of which Schwartz said, we found it very difficult to get past that without a break. That song is specifically written to bring a curtain down. Now, I didn't see the musical, and I approached this, I'll be honest with you, with a heavy heart, particularly in the light of things like, Cats, which is still in living memory. It's a great successful stage show and film. I really enjoyed it. The first thing to say is that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, they're a really good double act. There's real heart and soul brought to the role of Elphaba. Grande seems to be channeling Sharpay from the High School Musical films, and Sharpay, always my favorite character, and that was really lovely to see. There is lots of substance in the story. Again, people who know the stage show will know this. I had never seen it. I'd never heard any of the songs. So there's stuff about people being rejected because they're different, which I think is well judged. There is stuff about the mistreatment of animals, which goes very sort of George Orwell. There's quite complicated stuff about the suppression of language being the key to power. If you stop people speaking their language, you get power over them. There is even one speech, and bear in mind, Wicked has been around for a while. There is one speech in which a carnival huckster charlatan explains that a divided land can be brought together by being given a single scapegoat, a common enemy, which strikes an uncannily contemporary note right now, despite the fact that, the story has been around for a long time. It could not have landed at a better time. Gladiator had space monkeys. This has an origin story of the flying monkeys, which were always the scariest thing about the Wizard of Oz. Incidentally, I love Silent Running. Doug Trumbull's dad worked on the flying monkeys from the original Wizard of Oz. The songs are bangers, and they are performed with note perfect gusto by people that can, really sing. The design of the environment is enchanting. I mean, it's kind of part steampunk metropolis, part MGM throwback homage. The dancing is on point, and although the camera work is frenetic, it's shot by Alice Brooks, who worked with John M. Chu on the film version of In the Heights. What you don't get is a cut every second, which is very much the kind of current musical style. I mean, it's there's a lot of movement in the visuals, but it's not just cut, 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 cut. And here's the greatest compliment. It really didn't feel like 2 hours 40. And I stayed till the very end. I stayed till the very end of the credits. Even though it's only part one, it felt to me like it had a natural arc, like the story, the end of part one. I mean, obviously this would be the way that the play is designed. And obviously there must be stuff in the film that isn't in the stage play, because it's 2 hours 40 long and it only gets us to the interval. But it actually felt like it had a proper beginning, middle, and an end, even though it is only part one. And I'm now looking forward to part two. And I say this as somebody who I went into this trepidatiously, because I did not expect to enjoy it anything like as much as I did. And it was a real pleasant surprise for me.
Because I might have remembered this wrong, but the Hugh Jackman movie, which we both thought, well,
The Greatest Showman, we both thought it was pants.
There aren't any songs in there. A very entertaining guest. We like having him on. So spectacularly wrong. So are you compensating for that?
No, I'm really not, because I still don't. I went back and saw The Greatest Showman with an audience all singing along, and as I said, I kind of started to understand that it was working with them. I still don't like it. I still don't think it's good, but I really enjoyed this. So I don't think I'm overcompensating. I mean, I honestly went in thinking, okay, here we go, 2 hours 40, and it's only the first part, and I don't know anything. But I was really swept up in it. I mean, look, I love The Wizard of Oz, and it didn't do anything to offend my love of The Wizard of Oz, and that in itself is something. But I was just surprised by how much stuff there is in it, and as I said, when there is that moment about the speech about common enemies, and it suddenly seemed fantastically contemporary. I really enjoyed it. And I mean, it's going to be massive. It's going to be absolutely huge, because apparently the people who love the stage show think the film is pretty good. I never saw the stage show, never knew anything about it, didn't know any of the songs, and it worked for me.